Hello, Dumelang. Welcome to our channel, maVUTi Pals podcast, capturing the beat of staff and student life. My name is Thabisang Tabiapelo, also known as Tabi Aris. I never small bottom, I'm a top operator. As we wrap up graduation week celebrations, we are thrilled as maVUTi Pals to congratulate each and every individual who's worked tirelessly to achieve this milestone. Man, it was nice. People were happy, graduates were celebrating, parents were smiling. Graduates said it, but talent. Otherwise, today here with us, ladies and gentlemen, we are with a very inspiring individual. Her name is Marcia Swartz, affectionately known as Queenie. She's from Eswatini, and she is your favorite program director, top achiever, ambassador, and a passionate advocate for sustainability. As a VUT Green Campus Initiative chairperson, she is driving positive change. She's made her mark at VUT and beyond. Marcia, ma'am, hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Oh my God, I'm good.
Are you good? Yeah.
I'm just surprised by what you've just said of the bio about me.
I always hear you read people's bios and events, and ma'am, I had to.
Yeah, the funny thing is I always read people's bios, but when now someone says something about you in depth, like we've just said, you're like, is that me? But yes, it is me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Can you please share a bit about your background in Eswatini and what brought you to South Africa for studies?
Yes, hello everyone. So as Miss Tabi has said, my name is Marcia Swartz, all the way from the Kingdom of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland. I grew up in the outskirts of Swaziland, all the way in the Lubombo region. Yes, a very rural area. So basically my education journey, I did my primary high school back in Swaziland and my first college also in Swaziland. And then, the funny thing, what brought me to SA was that in Swaziland, we dreamed to go into the University of Eswatini. And unfortunately, the criteria to go in there, it's very strict. And also, when you don't have funding, we depend on the government of Swaziland for funding. And also the funding, it's very strict. You need to have distinction. So I'll just say this about me. I'm not embarrassed, but sometimes failure is failure when you give up. But when you don't give up and you're continuing, it's not failure. So that's what happened with me. I actually failed my Form 5, which is grade 12 this side.
Okay.
I didn't really do well. This was 2014. Wow. 2015, I then decided to rewrite my Form 5 again. And my results still came back poorly. But then that didn't stop me. I then decided to enroll myself in a college, and that's where my journey on doing human resources started. I was accepted, and I didn't have funding, so I needed to work for myself. I remember I was a bus conductor, and actually a taxi conductor back then. I know people would look at me and be like, especially people in the rural areas are very judgmental. They look at me and they will think that maybe I have relationships with all the bus drivers and conductors, and only to find that they were doing me a favor by saying, okay, you don't have money to travel every day to school, but however, you can assist us by collecting money, opening doors for passengers. And I would do that. I remember my arm, my left arm used to hurt almost every day. And then at the same time, I found myself piece jobs to clean people's houses, so that I can pay my own tuition. And that's where my life started. And then when I completed my N6, luckily I got internships. I worked as HR clerks there and there. And then what actually inspired me was that I tried applying in all the different colleges around Swaziland to further my studies, but what I realized is that in Swaziland, they are still held back by you need to have a degree. Do you understand?
Yeah, I get you.
You need to go to a recognized institution. You cannot just go to any college if you want to really be hired. So looking at myself, working with big people in the industry, because I work for a sugar industry, but I was at the about entry level.
Oh yeah,
and you look at these women driving in with the cars. And I'm looking at myself. I'm like, no, man, I'm a very beautiful woman.
Exactly.
I need to get there. So that's where my journey then started, where I looked into the institutions in South Africa to say, okay, let me apply. I applied in 4 universities here in South Africa. Remember, it was the University of Johannesburg, it was TUT, it was VUT, and it was UP.
Okay.
So the other 3, I applied online. But with VUT, for some reason, I actually came to apply in person. This was around September 2019.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know what VUT was. I mean, I was like, a Betty comes to town and comes to South Africa. I was scared of Johannesburg. You know, when you're from the rural areas and you hear about all the crimes that are happening in Johannesburg, you get scared.
You get scared,
But I took the liberty to travel with my bags, not knowing where I'm going.
And you are alone?
I'm alone.
Wow.
And, you know, even then, I didn't get much support from family, from friends. I basically went on this journey by myself. So I was accepted in all 4 universities. But now, when I looked at the other universities' quotations and everything, it was very steep for me. And then I realized that VUT is actually cheaper, and luckily then VUT offered me accommodation on campus.
Okay.
So the rest I needed to look for my own accommodation. They hadn't confirmed accommodation, and at that time still I was not on a scholarship. This is my first year now. So that is when, like, my journey there, I was like, okay, VUT has accepted me, but I'm not giving up. I don't have funding. I will have to look for peace jobs again. So that I can, because I believe in this saying that says, live like a slave now, so that tomorrow you can live like a queen or a king.
Wow, true.
So for me, it was like, you know, I can survive on water and prayer, because they say prayer feeds the stomach for some reason. And then, you know, I know when you come to university, it's like you meet your peers from different backgrounds.
Yes.
The pressure is high.
Very high.
Especially at first year. The pressure is high. And at that time, I was older than my classmates. I was like, you know what? I don't have the money to buy myself clothes. I don't have money to buy myself an expensive phone or anything like that. I need to focus. The goal is skolo, otherwise and I didn't want that. And also for me, it's like, I come from a background of uneducated women. Okay. So my family, I never knew my father. My mom abandoned me when I was like 4. She disappeared. She took me away from my granny, left me somewhere else, and then she disappeared. So knowing a bit about my mother's side of the family, I know that my great-granny was never educated. My granny was not educated. My mother dropped out of primary, by the way. So for me, it was like, I cannot be the 4th generation who's not going to be educated.
Yeah, you can't just
I need to break this chain.
Exactly.
And that's where my love of education started.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very fascinating, Marcia.
Thank you.
So can you please tell us, how did your passion for human resource management develop?
Well, I didn't know anything about human resources until I applied for it.
Yes.
I remember I was good with accounting, but I was running away from the numbers.
Okay.
I ran away from, but initially I wanted to do engineering, but now I don't have physics. I had bio and maths, but not physics. And my maths as well was not so good. So I was, back then, I was a very lazy person, but I knew that I was good with theory, with words, with holding acts and everything. And I knew that human resources is related mostly with law. And that is when I applied in the college, they had human resources, and that's when I applied. Okay. So as I went deeper and started studying human resources, I realized that I love it.
Actually.
And when I remember when I applied here at VUT, the lady at admin I had only one choice.
Yes.
And that was human resources. And she said to me, "You have one choice." I'm like, "Yes, ma'am, I have one choice." Humbly, of course. And she says, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." "No, you need to have a second choice." I was like, "Sorry, I can't have a second choice. I don't have one." "What if they don't accept you?" I was like, "Then it'll be the end of the road." And as I was leaving the building, there I am, I'm second guessing myself. But I'm like, there is nothing else I can study. It's only human resources that I want. And that's when I realized, and I didn't know that 3 years later, I will enter the human resources competition, representing VUT, competing with other 25 public universities, and not knowing that I would be number one in the country, hence still making me the national champion of human resources best student.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. So I think we need to take a leap of faith in whatever we do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And congratulations also on your cum laude graduations. Usta,
you know, let me tell you a very funny story when it comes to cum laude. I didn't even know what was this cum laude until second year.
Really?
I was with a student, a senior student in our building where I stay. And she's talking about cum laude. I'm like, "What is that?" And she's like, "Oh, it's another word for distinction." I'm like, "Ooh, is it?" And she says, "When you get a cum laude, you get to be called first." So I am a drama queen. I am a drama queen because I was like, you get to be called first. Knowing that my surname is SWU. I am at the end of the list if you can go alphabetically. So I was like, By the time I get called, people will be tired of clapping hands. Nah, I want to be number one. So that is when I needed to work hard to get that 75 and above so that I can graduate with a cum laude.
Beautiful.
So the past 2 years, I've been the first two top people to be called every time. Marcia Swartz, cum laude. I'm like, yes, girl.
Exactly.
So it's just to empower others that, you know what, if you put your mind to it, you can actually achieve it.
Exactly.
And I think in this day and time, education, yes, we say it's a modern day slavery, but it changes your mindset. It changes how you see things. It changes how you think. And for me, it has made a great impact in my life.
Nice. So can you tell us, like, what was going on through your mind when you received that top Achievers Vice Chancellor's Award?
Let me tell you something. I got a call from then the HOD, and he calls me and he says, "Will you be attending graduations?" In my mind, I'm like, "Oh, of course, I'm attending graduation." And especially because that was my first graduation. I'm like, "Of course." I'm like, yes, Prof, I will be attending. He's like, "Okay, you will get, you've been selected, or you've actually worked hard to be number one, and you'll be receiving an award, the Dean's Achievement." I'm like, is it? Okay. And then 3 days later, the dean himself, Prof. Mafini, calls me. I'm like, there's something wrong.
In the corner.
He calls me. He tells me the same thing. "Congratulations, Marcia. You're going to be receiving the Top Achievers Award." I'm like,
wow.
If the dean is calling me, then this is important. I need to go and fix my outfit.
Definitely.
I need to fix myself, you know.
Definitely.
So by the time it was graduation, I knew that I'll be called twice.
Wow,
of course, I'll be called cum laude first. And then once everyone has gotten their spotlight, I'll be called again.
Top achiever.
And then this year during graduation, I was supposed to get, because I was also number one in my class list. But unfortunately now, when it came to advanced and postgrad, we were told that they're only going to give it to one person in the whole faculty, not departmental. Only a diploma level where it's departmental, and the accounting department took it by 1%. I'm like, I literally cried.
Almost.
I literally cried. I went to my HOD. He's like, "Don't be discouraged. It happens. We don't have enough funding and everything, but come on, you're getting a cum laude." I'm like, "No, I wanted that prize is mine."
Exactly.
So yeah, chronicles of study.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So can you tell us how has your experience at the UTech and VUT experience, how has it shaped your personal and professional journey?
So must I start at UTech?
Yes.
Okay, UTech is a technical college. It was good. If I can reflect back, how many years? About 8 years ago. Yeah. If I could reflect back to 2016, it was good. It was tough in the sense that I needed to. I was always tired. I was always tired, and then also I then tried to involve myself in community work, where then I was then given the title of being the country ambassador for Earth Hour. So I represented Swaziland being the Earth Hour ambassador, where I needed to, at that time, I'm still in college, I've got part-time jobs, I'm working as a bus conductor. It was tough. It was tough, I'm not going to lie. And then when I got to VUT, I learned a lot, because also when I grew up, my background is very tough when I was a child. So what I thought was normal, when I got to VUT, I realized that it's not normal.
Actually.
And I'm not going to lie, a great shout out and appreciation to my department for showing me kindness and love. Let me just say to the faculty, not only to my department. Because also the dean plays a role. Them showing me the kindness, showing me, leading the way. You know, I looked up to my lecturers as my leaders. And they actually shaped everything in my life, how I saw things, how I perceived things. I needed to calm myself down. They always encouraged me, because I was one student from diploma level all the way till today I'm a very curious person. That is one thing I realized about myself now, that I'm a very curious individual. I would always engage in class, and I think that is where I will make relations with my lecturers, that I always asked questions. I always consulted, especially if my assignments will come back and I'm not happy with the mark. I would literally, because it was during COVID most of the times, and they were never on campus, email, please can I make an appointment for a consultation for this. So I'll sit down with my lecturers and be like, why did I get 70% instead of not getting 80% or 100? And they would explain. So I think it has shaped me in how I see things, because they taught me that you don't have to know everything. What makes you an intelligent person is that you are not, you don't know anything. Accept that you don't know anything, so that you can make room to learn. Do you understand?
Actually,
And that is how I got to learn. And also when I got here, I was a very angry person, where I thought everyone is against me, because that is how I grew up. I grew up with criticism. I grew up with everyone was just ready to throw a stone at me. And I came with that mentality to say, okay, everyone is ready to throw a stone at me. Everyone is ready to attack. And being alone as well, not having anyone to run to and cry to, that, and then, So when I got here, meeting the great people, it's not, okay, not everyone is great, but what I realized is that we are all dealing with our own battles that we never talk about.
Exactly.
That when we're behind closed doors, only you know what you're going through. And that is how I realized that a bit of kindness changes the next person. I'm not going to lie, when I got to VUT, where I realized people were a bit harsh. I don't know if it was me or that is how I perceived things. People are they're not that friendly. We lack, in actual fact, I'm not going to lie, we lack customer service skills.
Yes.
And
someone finally said.
And it then affects the next person. Like I said, we don't know what we are going through individually, but if you are going to do your job, and coming to VUT, it has realized that you can be an agent of change. You as an individual. You don't have to take out your anger issues on the next person, because nobody knows what you're going through right now. We all got problems on our plates, but that doesn't give you the right to be harsh on the next person. Do you understand? You would rather not say anything than to be rude. And in most cases, when I got chair, most people were rude. And one thing that I also realized is that they don't compromise. If they want to speak Sotho, they will speak to you in Sotho, forgetting that we are dealing with a diversity of individuals.
We come from different places.
Not everyone speaks Sotho in South Africa. Not only that, we've got international students.
Exactly.
Where you can compromise a bit and speak English just for that minute. When students are the client of the institution, whether we like it or not. Yes, students lack respect, some of them, but I think it is time that we as VUT in our professional areas, we instill respect and discipline. Because if we don't have respect for ourselves as professionals or discipline, how are we going to lead? And that is what not that I'm talking bad, don't get me wrong, but it is what, if we want to make a better tomorrow, we have to start by at least, this is our workplace, not our homes. Do you understand?
Exactly.
Where we are building other individuals. You are instilling something. It is not what you do to someone, it's how you make them feel that they will remember.
Forever.
I still remember how this lady, I don't even know her name, this lady at finance, my first day on campus, how she made me feel. I remember when I got here with my bags. I had gotten a lift, by the way, from Swaziland to drop me off, and my lift literally left me out at the gate. So when I got here with my bags, it was load shedding. I didn't even know about load shedding. Yeah. She's like, sorry, I can't help you. There's load shedding. I need accommodation.
You arrived basically.
I arrived
to go.
vulnerable, alone with my bags. I literally sat outside the gate with my bags like that, as to show that we don't even have empathy. Nobody even came to my rescue, even if it was a staff member or security, to ask, are you okay? Have you been assisted? Do you understand? That's to show that I personally, it made me realize that showing an act of kindness, it doesn't kill
Anybody at all.
And that is when I said to myself, at least an act of kindness a day, be it to myself, be it to someone else, be it to the environment. Do you understand? So when I came to VUT, it taught me that an act of kindness, at least one act of kindness a day will make a change.
And it definitely
not for me.
does.
For me, yes. For someone else, it might not repay me at that moment, but I know for sure that one day it will come back.
Yes. Wow. Ma'am, that was very helpful information. Can you please tell us, as the VUT Green Campus Initiative chairperson, what inspired you to take up on that role, and what goals do you aim to achieve? Okay,
let me just quickly clear the air. I was.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yes, in 2022.
Okay.
Yes, so from 2021 until 2022. And at that time, I was still holding at our country ambassador in Swaziland. So for me, I love the environment, to be honest. I love, I'm one weird person who's gonna love I'm a nature person. And so for me, when I joined the Green Campus Initiative, unfortunately it was during COVID. My goals were, as you can see, the university.
Yes.
Not that So I wanted to make it greener and better. I wanted to teach students to love their environment.
Okay.
That where they are sitting, they must appreciate what they have around them.
Yes.
You know, I just don't like papers, litter. So for me, when I see litter around, I cringe. I cringe because those when I was growing up, even in high school, we had timetable to say Form 1 today you are the whole week, by the way, you are collecting papers. They shall not be a paper that a teacher or the headmistress is going to see. If that happens, the whole class is going to be in trouble. Why is there a paper? You know, we had dustbins everywhere. And we have to make use of those dustbins. So for me, when I took the role of being a Green Campus chairperson back then, it was to try and make change.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us today. We had a very informative session. Until we meet again.
Thank you so much.
That was it from us, ladies and gentlemen, maVUTi Pals podcast. Until we meet again. Thank you.